Welcome on the webinar. My name is Susanna. I'm very happy to have you on board. Hello, Christina.
Hello, Susanna. I'm very happy to be here today as well. Welcome everyone to today's webinar on how to run a fully remote all hands meeting. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Susanna. Susanna, what is that one thing you're most looking forward to?
I think it's meeting my friends, and somebody already submitted that. I see there's a lot of friends and family and, hugging mom. I think that's something for me. What about you?
Actually, when someone put in hugging mom, I have to say yes. I have seen my mom since the outbreak, but I haven't been able to hug her, or I was scared. So yes, I'm actually really looking forward to that physical kind of bonding again with my family and with my friends.
So again, welcome to the webinar, how to run a fully remote all hands meeting. Who is with you today? It's my colleague, Christina. Hello, Christina.
Hello, everyone.
And honestly, having a colleague on board on a webinar is such a good thing, because if you forget something, he's or she's there for you to mention information. So thank you very much for having my back on there. And my name is Susanna. We both work with our clients to educate them, and this is something that we do also. We run weekly webinars. What is this webinar about today? What we would like to talk about today is the team agenda. So, sorry, not the team agenda, the team behind. So who is behind the all hands meetings, then talk about the technical setup, mention engagement throughout, because we believe that engagement is the most important part when running all hands, so people are engaged, especially in the remote setup. And we will have ample time for your Q&A. So speaking about that, I would love to engage, encourage you to post your questions throughout the whole webinar. We will be going through them at the end. And again, as Christina mentioned, for the full experience, you can go full screen with a double click on the video, or just clicking the go full screen button. In case you are using joining the webinar through Zoom directly, just grab your smartphone if you can, and just open slido.com, type in the event code ENGAGE, as you can see here. Did I forget something, Christina?
I believe not. We can continue.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We would love to start to put us maybe in the mood. This is a picture from our all hands, from Slido all hands. As you can see, there is about like quite a lot of people. Usually there were about like 50% people in the room. There were some live speakers. You could see a little bit of screen here with people online. So it was a hybrid meeting. We would probably have 50% in the room, 50% online. And there's always a tech guy, as you can see, that's our Andy. So these people were there, but this was all Slido BC, Slido before Corona. And then Corona hit, and we were forced, just like most of the companies, I believe, to go virtual. And here we have another picture from our last all hands. This is an actual picture with the team online, everybody with their cameras on. So this is Slido AC after Corona. And we believe that this is something that is going to be happening in the future more and more, that meetings will be run remotely. And I think that's basically the only way that we can make happen these days. So our link, I would like to talk about your link here. What is your link to all hands meeting? So are you organizing it? Are you part of the leadership team? Are you in charge of content, technical setup? You're just getting inspiration for your team, or you're just a participant? And just maybe to link to that, both of us, Christina and I, have been moderating all hands, hosting it. Christina used to be, maybe you should share your story about all hands.
Thank you. Yeah, so I actually used to work as internal comms manager at Slido, and in my role, I was actually the owner of the entire meeting. So I was actually organizing it. I was running after everyone to collect the slides, to collect everyone else's input, and so on. So I have plenty of experience with hosting it, and until today, I still moderate or facilitate our monthly all hands meetings, and I'm very happy about it because it's a lot of fun.
Thank you. So definitely the expert here. Myself, I used to used to moderate all hands, and I was always involved. So both of us are very happy to share our stories or share our experience. But of course, we love to hear from you. And I see 68% of you are organizing it, or just getting inspiration from the team for your team or company. That's amazing. We will be also talking about the technical setup, so don't worry for those of you who are here in charge of that. Thank you very much. Another question for you though is, have you already run a fully remote all hands? Yes, you're planning another one. Yes, and you will never do it again. Sorry about that. No, but you're planning to, and no, and you don't intend to. This is great. How many fully remote all hands have we had? I think 2, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, 2 fully remote, but all hands has been happening ever since maybe we've been around for 8 years, and I think after the first year there have been all hands happening ever since. So we have monthly all hands happening every month at the end. All right, so most of you haven't had fully remote all hands, but you're planning to, and other people are also planning another one and have had their remote all hands. Great, thank you very much. And without further ado, I would love to bring Christina on stage to share some information on the people.
All right, thank you very much. Just a comment here. I'm really happy to see that none of you has already run the all hands meeting and is not wanting to do it again. That's a really great news. And let's now look at the team of people that you actually need to have behind your all hands meeting, because this is really the key to success of every all hands meeting, having really the right people on board with you. The most important person actually to have with you on board when it comes to all hands meeting is a meeting owner. And I cannot emphasize this enough. This is our colleague Daniela, who is the internal comms manager right now at Slido. And she has the major job, more role in terms of organizing the all hands, because she is in charge of getting people to attend the meeting, whether that is in person or online. She's really there to communicate everything about the all hands. She has to really make sure that everyone gets the right information at the right time. She needs to connect the presenters or the speakers with each other to make sure that they are aligned. She needs to make sure that the team is really informed about everything that is going to happen. And she really needs to ensure that the entire event is run in a smooth way. So really everything is on her shoulders. And really this is the most important person when it comes to organizing your all hands meeting. It doesn't have to be an internal comms manager. Of course, in many other companies, it's either an exec assistant or it can be any other assistant, events manager, corporate communications person, anyone really with the background connected to the internal events organization and hosting. But it's really important that this person is in charge and has the ownership and accountability to deal with this type of event. The second very important person is an online host. Now, the online host, just like Susanna today, she's acting in both roles as a speaker and as a host. But the host also in the all hands acts as a person to greet the audience right at the beginning of the event. This is very important. So right from the start, you create that kind of connection between the online audience, between your online employees and the leadership. So this is the most important internal type of meeting, and you really want that connection to happen and to be strong. So the online host is there to really make sure that that happens. And of course, the person also then acts as a facilitator of the audience questions and so on. And it's really guiding the audience through the entire event. Very important person. So if you don't have it for your all hands, make sure you really have an online host. The third tip, when it comes to creating your team behind the all hands meeting, we really recommend that you don't just lay your entire all hands meeting upon one person. So usually this is the CEO presenting everything about the company updates and presenting the plans for the future, but it's really important to actually have multiple speakers at your meeting. This is creating a really nice dynamic, so it's really changing the dynamic throughout the entire meeting, but at the same time, it's it's bringing in lots of other different perspectives, not just the perspective of the CEO of or someone from the leadership. And it's really, we've also get that kind of feedback from people that if we kind of involve as many various people as possible, they are really happy about that, to see new faces presenting, and really it's getting really popular among people, especially at the last All Hands. We had one colleague of ours have present. She never presented before in front of the entire company, and we could see that straightforward in the feedback. People were really happy to see someone new presenting, and it was really nice kind of change to have at the All Hands meeting. As Susanna already mentioned, before Corona hit us and hit the world, we had a tech person in charge of the meeting, even in person, for the in-person meetings. But because technology is really the bread and butter of every online meeting, you really need to make sure that you have just that person dedicated solely to the tech setup of your online meeting. This person really should be there on the call, ahead of the call and after the call, and really making sure that people can hear you, people can see you, and really this person should be able to chat with the people and really check whether everything is running okay, and be able to react as quickly as possible to the situation. And of course, have that kind of connection with the host as well, to make sure that everything is running smoothly when it comes to the tech setup. But now I would love to invite you to brainstorm with us. So I've mentioned a few people that you would really kind of need to have in your meeting in order to make it successful. But I would love to find out whether there are any more people, perhaps from your own experience, that you think are important when it comes to organizing all hands meetings. Feel free to submit those people. If you feel like those people that we have mentioned are sufficient, you can also list them here as well. Q&A moderator, great, yes. And of course, audience, I haven't talked about the audience as the crucial part of your all hands meeting. That is true. Thank you very much for correcting me there. Yes, the Q&A moderator, for example, we are actually using the online host to do that. So at the end, you'll be able to see that we run the entire Q&A as a conversation. So it's a conversation between the host and the speaker, or multiple speakers. In our situation today, we are both kind of hosts and speakers, so we will have that kind of conversation rotating. An active session moderator, nice. A good connection and a good moderator. Translator, wow, this is a really good one. So exactly, if you are actually running your business in various countries and not everyone speaks the company language, it's great to have a translator as well. I didn't even think about this one. This is a really good one. Use different medias, right? Awesome. Susanna, is there anyone missing for you that is really important when it comes to organizing an all hands?
Not really. I see leadership team. So yes, absolutely. Speakers. And I want to comment on somebody posted engaging speakers and multimedia. To be honest, I think in our all hands, we don't really use any special media like videos or anything apart from Slido and Google Slides. And in our Google Slides, we have sometimes GIFs or GIFs or however you pronounce it. So if you have a good amount of, amount of speakers that deliver their content well enough, I don't think that you need that much of a media apart from music. We play music, maybe that's another part, but yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. That's true. Music is a very important part of the success of the meeting and a nice atmosphere to create right at the start. But now I pass the word over to Susanna.
Thank you. So for those of you, 25% of you who posted that you are here for technical, or you are linked to technical setup, here are a few tips from us. The first one and the most important one, especially when running remote, is to use a reliable video conferencing platform. And we don't want to do any advertising here, but we do use Zoom. We are very happy about it. We used to use GoToMeeting a long time before, and some of our team uses Google Hangouts for other calls and meetings. But this is something that is very important for you to find and meet your needs. So it depends on what do you want to display, what do you want to show, how you want to run your all hands. For us, Zoom works perfect. We can share music, we can use the remote control, and we will talk about that in a second. But this is, I couldn't stress this more. Do a good research and find the best tool you're using. Honestly, we used to use a different tool, and because we were growing and growing, we needed to find a tool that would fit our needs, and then we swapped the whole company. I know that it's hard when you have 110,000 employees. For us, it was easier. So you have to look in your options, but just make sure you do a good research, because even within a tool, you can have a lot of settings that you can set up. Secondly, the thing about the video conferencing platform, there are some good to have features. First one is to have a chat. It's a great way how people can interact in between each other. In Slido All Hands, we always use chat to comment, especially when we are in the remote setup, to comment things like, oh, you know, funny, or just like say something about what we've seen, or congratulate the people, since everybody is muted. So even use a heart symbol or just some kind of emojis to express our emotion. This has worked well, even when we were running hybrid meetings, because the people who were online were able to give us some clues if there was something wrong happening, etc., etc. So definitely chat feature is a good, nice to have. Second one is a gallery view, and to explain that, you can actually see it here. So gallery view means that you can not only focus on the one speaker, but you can also see the rest of the team. For me, myself, when we run big meetings, I always minimize or make it smaller, the presented content, and I look through the people who are online and who have their cameras on. For me, it brings a little bit of connection, and I feel like I'm a part of the story. It's not just me looking into the computer, but I know that the other people are there, and we're making this kind of community or something. So I think it's really important. And last but not least is to have a remote control. What that means is that if you have one master deck or somebody is presenting, you can give remote control to somebody else to present these slides as well. So for example, now I'm sharing my screen, but Christina gets remote control whenever she's presenting her slides. So that's what remote control does. I think it works great. Yesterday we had a masterclass with 4 speakers, and every time every time the speaker would get the remote control, and it worked just great. To continue, I already spoke about this, but it's great to have one master deck for your entire meeting. Our internal comms manager, Daniela, as we mentioned before, she always creates this deck, gives people access who need it, and she even sets agenda at the beginning so that everybody can click through the slides very easily to get to their part. People can then very easily start building the presentation. We are using Google Slides, and it works great. If you are using some kind of PowerPoint, like a PowerPoint or Office or something like that, you can also do that, but just have one person who is collecting it so that they put it together, and then have this one master deck for the entire meeting. It also, maybe just to add on that, it also gives you an idea of how long the content is going to be, and you can have a better overview, or the meeting owner can have a better overview of what is going to happen throughout the whole All Hands. Also, once you're using Slido or you're trying to engage with people, the most important thing is to set up your Slido. So to come up with the slides, or to come up with the polls within your slides, where you want to do some interaction, where you want to engage with people. How we do it with Christina, we always build our slides, and then we look into like what are the interaction points that we want to interact with the people, with you guys who are on the other side of the camera, let's say. And the last thing to mention here is, and I think it's almost like the most important, to have a dry run. So as you can see, this is our internal comms manager, Daniela, who posted this comment for the whole team, that there's going to be a dry run. Everybody's going to run through their slides, and the others can also comment, see whether this is good or bad, whether this makes sense, whatever they're presenting, etc., etc. So this is a very important thing to do. We want to ask you guys, how knowledgeable do you feel about your technical setup? Do you feel like you know what's happening, or you feel like nah, I need to learn a little bit more. So 1 is like, I don't have any information. 7 is like, I feel very knowledgeable. How do you feel, Christina, about the technical setup?
I think since we've actually moved fully remote, I feel much better about the technical setup, I have to say, and I understand more of the technical stuff myself as well. Before that, I would say I was somewhere between 3 and 4. Now I guess I would even maybe put somewhere between 5 and 6. So I feel pretty good about it now. And so this is something that the Corona has given us, right? The kind of ability to, the need to understand the technology more. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I did know actually the hybrid setup as well. So I was probably at 5.6 before, and I'm at 5.6 now. I think it's really important when you are being the moderator or the host or the meeting owner that you really know what is behind the scenes and you know how things work. You don't have to be the expert, but you should really know what is the setup. Yeah.
Exactly.
So for those of you who are running 3 or 4, I would recommend maybe just sit down with your tech guy and just ask him, like, what is the setup? You don't have to like know everything, just to have an overview. Yeah.
But even if the tech person is not available, you can still take some of your own time and really explore those video conferencing platforms and all other tools that you are using. Really, if you just spend some extra, maybe 30 minutes exploring those, you will really get to find out a lot more and really be more knowledgeable about your tech setup for the future. So you can only be happy about that, right? And how do we then engage our audience when we are already in the meeting? We have the people behind, we have our team, we have all done the technical setup, we have checked it during the dry run and so on. And now I would love to talk about the engagement part, but I would first love to ask you about how engaged if you are actually feeling engaged right now. This is actually, of course, the goal of our webinar today, to really make you feel engaged. But we want to double check with you. If you're not feeling engaged, we probably should do something about it and change the way we speak or present. Great. So hopefully you were being honest and you are feeling engaged, which is really great. And I've just noticed I'm actually having green teeth due to this background. But anyway, I don't actually have green teeth. Great. Thank you so much for feeling engaged. I hope you remain in this kind of stage until the very end. But now let us have a look at the ways you can actually engage with your audience. So a majority of you might think that the engagement part only starts in the meeting itself. But actually that's not true. You can already start engaging with your audience ahead of the meeting. What we do at Slido normally is we usually hold our all hands meetings on a Friday, on the last Friday of the month. And what happens is that we actually receive a post on a Monday, so 5 days or 4 days ahead of the event. And it is asking us to already submit some questions that we have for our leadership. So this way you can really start collecting those questions already ahead. People have enough time to think about what has been on their mind for the past few weeks. They can ask about anything, any unclarities and so on. And that way also it is giving the leadership time to prepare well for the questions. So they're not just being put on spot in a spotlight and really have to answer those questions ad hoc, but they can really well prepare for answering those questions. So you can either do that, of course, by sharing the Slido link to the event. Some people do it via email and so on, but just make sure you collect those questions in advance of your event. When we're speaking about the engagement before the actual meeting, this is also a nice way how you can actually start the meeting a few minutes before. So for example, if your meeting starts at 4 p.m., you can start the meeting, the online meeting, the video conference call 15 minutes ahead. And that way you can really allow some room for informal chat, people really catching up. They are not able to really see each other these days. So, but even if they are able to see each other, it's really nice to have some kind of connection before that meeting. People can talk about anything. It creates this kind of nice and relaxed atmosphere. And trust me, you will be grateful for that relaxed mode of the participants after that as well, because they will be really put into that mode of sharing. So they will want to share with you throughout throughout the entire meeting as well. So they will really want to interact with you once they're already in that sharing mode. Once you start the meeting, so let's say we are starting at 4 p.m. So at 4 p.m. We will normally run some kind of icebreaker poll. So for everyone who had just joined, we really want them to interact with them from the very beginning, to really set that expectation of interaction throughout the entire event. You can either pick something funny like this kind of poll, or you can play on a more serious note. But especially in these kind of times, uncertain times around the world, it's really nice to start on a positive note. So really use humor or something positive, something positively looking, that you really put your participants into that nice positive receiving mode. Once you give the word over to the leadership, it doesn't mean that they need to present their business updates or some serious numbers in some very monotonous way. What we sometimes do is we use actually quiz. We take the form of a quiz to present some business updates or anything really serious to know about the business in the recent weeks. And when it is in the form of a quiz, it's really bringing in that competitive side out of people. So they're really not just engaged, but they're really actually engaged with the content itself, and they're thinking about the updates, and they're really forced to think about it if they want to win. Of course, there is a prize at the end as well. And it's really just kind of nice twist to the usual way of presenting those kind of monthly updates. You can do that actually, by the way, with Slido as well, because we have that quiz feature, just in case you didn't know. Important when it comes to the meeting itself is the interval in which you actually engage with your audience. So when we hosted our in-person all hands meetings, we would normally have about every 10 minutes, we would insert some kind of interaction activity. But when we move to the online environment, it's important to actually shorten those intervals, because human attention span is even shorter during the online meetings. So that's why we actually recommend that you re-engage with your online people every 5 to 7 minutes. Now, this can be using various forms. It can be just by changing the speakers, of course, or you can insert a live poll or any kind of other poll, but just really make sure that you kind of try to re-engage with those people every 5 to 7 minutes. They will be grateful to you, I promise. And when we come to the content delivery, this is a great thing if you have those multiple speakers, that you actually have naturally split your content into those bite-sized pieces. So we normally recommend per each section not to have more than 6-7 slides. So it's making actually that content easily digestible and easy to follow up for your people. So don't include more slides per section, because otherwise it's really hard to follow. And also when you create your slides, or when your speakers, presenters create their slides, it's important that they try to present only one idea per slide. You really don't want to kill them with your overcrowded slides with lots of information and lots of stats in it. So make sure to think about that. And when already presenting those complex kind of information and numbers, the other day, or actually no, it was 2 months ago, we had each department presenting the OKRs, objectives and key results. So this was a very kind of complex presentation. Each of the department leads was presenting the numbers and the goals for the next quarter, and it was really kind of heavy to understand. So what they actually did, after each department had presented their OKRs, they asked us a question: how well we understand those OKRs. And it was a rating poll from 1 to 6. And when some people submitted something below 5, then they were actually asked to submit a question to make sure that they clarify what is uncertain to them. So this is a really great way how you can actually check for understanding with your audience. Now, speaking of understanding among the audience, I would love to find out if so far everything is clear to you on a scale from 1 to 7, 1 being not clear at all, 7 being very clear. And I want to encourage you as well, if you have voted 4, 3, I see there are some 3s and 4s and 5s, please do submit your questions and do let us know what is unclear and how we can make sure to clarify this for you. But I am very happy to see that to 47% of you, it's so far very clear. That's very good to know. 50 to 55%. Amazing. Great. So, Susanna, please keep it up.
Yes, thank you very much. And for those of you again who vote 3, 4, 5, actually this happens every time. Every time you ask this question, there are people who might not understand something, and that's not a shame. That's not a weird thing. It might be just really we are not being clear enough. So please do let us know what would make your life easier, or how we could make it clearer. But to continue with great, this is going to be my personal highlight of every single All Hands, and that's Silent Hero. That's how we call it. On the other hand, you can call it Celebrate People's Achievements. So basically, every All Hands, we try to celebrate our team, celebrate the people in the team, and we ask, who was your Silent Hero this month? Everybody gets a survey where there is an option to write down a name. We use our Slack handles. So important thing is to have a unique identifier. So name and last name together. For us, it's the Slack name. And we have an option to write down why this person was a silent hero for us. At the end, once we collect all of these answers, or not all, but in a minute or two, we see a word cloud like here in the picture, where you see Hannah being the biggest in the middle, Peter, Christopher, James. You see all these names being praised for something they did last month. At the end, we just clap, we really celebrate these people. And it's honestly such an amazing thing to see how many great people there are in the team. And afterwards, the most cool and for me the most heartwarming part is when our HR distributes these answers to the people who were nominated. So if, you know, for example, Hannah was nominated there by 5 people because she's the biggest here, she would get 5 answers from these people. And it's just a wonderful thing that actually brings you up during the month when you see that somebody voted for you as a silent hero. And it's really, even if you're not nominated, for you, it's wonderful to see how great people you have in the team. And really, I'm just having this nostalgic feeling, emotion right now, because I think it's really wonderful part. So to continue with wonderful parts, I think it's important to add a fun element into your All Hands, whether it's a quiz like Christina mentioned, or this is a picture from our last All Hands where we held a virtual background competition. These days you are able to work, as you can see, from the mountains behind me, or with Super Mario on the picture, or with some cows. So this was really a highlight of the All Hands this last Friday, and it really brightens everybody up. There was a lot of chatting happening in the meantime, and people were voting for each other who has the best background. You have no idea how creative people got when it got to the virtual backgrounds. I would definitely recommend doing that. Also, when you are getting towards the end of the All Hands, it's important to run people-centric Q&A. When we used to run our All Hands, hybrid All Hands, our Q&A would take probably like 15 to 20 minutes. Once we got to online environment, it gotten longer. So it's from 25 to 30 minutes these days. How we do it, we always have the online host or the moderator of the hybrid meeting who is getting the questions from the audience. As Christina said, they've been being collected from Monday, or like from before up until the actual All Hands. So it's a combination of the in-meeting and before-meeting questions. And usually the leadership team answers. So not just CEO, you can have the whole leadership there, people who are responsible for each categories, for each teams. And these people get to answer questions from the audience. From the feedback from the people, we've seen that this is one of the most valuable parts of All Hands. And I couldn't stress this more. When you have people online, answering their questions is even more important than when they are in live, when you are meeting in an office. Because nowadays you cannot really stop by somebody's office and just you know, just have a little bit of chit chat. This is a lot of times, this is the only way how you can approach or you can talk to these people. And speaking about feedback, oh, sorry, I forgot this. At the end of all hands or a big meeting, you can also have a collaborative wrap up. So you can ask people, what is the one thing that you're taking from this all hands or from this? We have a picture here from masterclass. We asked this yesterday, and you can really end on a high note and see really what people are thinking. What is the one thing that they really took from the meeting, and you can kind of have a little bit of like a wrap up, just maybe just collect everything and comment on what was being said, and people can really grasp what was the meeting about again. So this is a great thing. And as I said, the last thing you want to do is to collect feedback. And I couldn't stress this more, because collecting feedback is really eyes and ears for you to see what you should implement and or what you should improve, or what you should stop doing. And that's why we've realized what are the things that really work well. Like Christina said, we had a person who has never spoken in front of the whole audience or the whole company. And every month, we have somebody sharing a story from a client. And that's a very powerful thing that we share. And the feedback is great. The same thing for the questions, for the silent hero. These are the things that we realize are really important to keep and to keep doing, and we just knew about it because of the feedback. So our internal comms manager also sends out an email or a post saying, guys, don't forget to give us feedback, and she really does great job to collect this. And then of course the last step is to implement it. So once you read through the comments, make sure you change something for the next all hands. Make sure you really listen to the people and give them a voice even via this. So you've been presented quite a lot of engagement techniques or engagement ideas. We would love to hear from you. What are the top 3 engagement ideas that you would like to implement into your all hands? And you can see them through. There are 12 ideas, so you can pick 3, and it can be start crowdsourcing questions, on 15 informal mingle, my favorite one, virtual background competition, or silent hero. What about you, Christina? What are the top 3 for you?
To me, definitely Silent Hero. Of course, that's one of the favorites of all times. And then I actually really enjoy having that 15-minute informal chat before the meeting. I was also surprised how many people actually joined that, because people really want to interact and they do want to catch up with people they haven't seen for a while. So I would say those are the 2 favorite. And then what would be the quiz, of course, because I love quizzes. And I've seen a question. We received a question about the quiz, a specific question. So I'm very happy to answer that in a short minute. But let's see what the audience thought.
And also, maybe just to build on what you said about the 15-minute mingle, you can also decide to have an after work beer or something like that. I think we also did that last time. I wasn't able to join, but you can also have join people together after the all hands, because usually when we run our all hands, at the end of all hands, we have beer or just like drinks and pizza, just to hang out with each other and talk to each other. And since this is not possible to happen, we can also host an online after 5 meeting or something like that.
Happy hour, it was called, I believe.
Thank you, I forgot the name. Happy hour. All right, so 23 of you voted for the top 4, which is present business updates or numbers in a quiz. Christina, your favorite. Re-engaging people every 5 to 7 minutes. That's great, and I'm really happy. I see this as a thing that you want to also implement. Silent hero are both favorite, and collaborative wrap up. This is great. Thank you very much for sharing. Anything else you want to add, Christina, or we get to questions?
No, let's get to questions, because there's actually quite a few of them. So let's make sure we address all of them.
All right. So just to comment this one really quickly, yes, we will share the slides afterwards as well as the recording. So don't worry about that. And Christina, Sandra is asking, can we restrict our questions to a specific group of audience?
You mean the poll questions, I believe that is. It's a specific group of audience. Well, you can definitely, what you can do, you can actually split your audience into different virtual rooms in Slido. So for example, if I have room A, that would be the developers, and room B would be the people dealing with customers. You can have two polls, two different questions running for each group. I would say that might be one of the solutions. But Susanna, can you think of a different solution?
You can also use the multiple rooms feature for that, in case you're interested to segregate people and have a multiple room, which is, I don't want to explain that too much into detail so that we can get to more questions, but basically each room would be named after a specific audience, so marketing, brand, etc., etc. But I think you mentioned it. So yeah.
Right, and the next question from Petra. Would you recommend for the speaker to have camera turned on or to go just as you are now? Slides and audio. I believe we're with the camera on, so I'm sorry that you cannot see us, but the cameras are actually on for both of us. But Susanna, please answer this question.
Yes, we do have cameras on. Sorry, Petra, if you couldn't see us. But yes, 100% or even 150% have the speaker turn on the camera. It doesn't matter if you have bad background. It doesn't matter if you have kids running around. We've had many meetings with kids around. The most important thing is to be more personal. And as soon as you turn your camera on, we do have stats on that. 82% of people are less likely to multitask when they have camera on. And so I know speaker is definitely not multitasking, but it's important to do that as well. Right, question from Michelle. Any advice on the optimal audience size for an engaging webinar talk?
Right, this is a beautiful question. Thank you, Michelle. So actually, this is the beauty of the online meetings. There is no limit to the size of your meeting and to make it as engaging as possible. So we actually, yesterday, we had a masterclass where we had 300 people and it was very engaging. A few weeks ago, there was an event running trying to break the Guinness Book of Records, and they actually had, I think they had 12,000 people online, and they were all engaged using polls and questions and so on. So it was super engaging as well. So I would say if you want to make use of those online tools, then really there is no limit to the size, and any size is good when it comes to the online meeting.
Great.
Great, thank you, Michelle. And the next question, can you give an example of a quiz for business updates? You mentioned serious issues. So Susanna, can you give us an example?
Yes, absolutely. Even the screenshot that we had in our presentation was from the Serious Business Update presentation from our Christmas All Hands. Basically, you just ask people for, we even had a quiz this last All Hands, now I just recall that. You ask people for, like, for example, how did we do on the revenue side? And then you list the numbers, or did we hit our goal, yes or no? Or what was the number of, we talk about signups in Slido, so what was the number of signups for this month? So basically, instead of just blindly presenting the number without any interaction with the people, you actually engage them with a quiz. So you ask them this question and you ask them, give them that little bit of competitive possibility to vote for correct answer. And then at the end, you can also praise the winner. So I hope that makes sense. Two, Barbell asks, can you document somehow the results of questions, clouds, ratings after the meeting for meeting minutes?
Yes, Barbara, you absolutely can. You can access the event analytics right after the event, where you can basically download everything and you can share that with your attendees and play around with it to display some interesting stuff for you and for your attendees. And Isa would like to know, if I insert my live stream embed code directly into Slido, does second element video and Slido are fixed on the page, or we can have a fluid layout?
Great question, Isa. Unfortunately, once you embed it into Slido, it doesn't have any option to have a fluid layout. So if you have a live stream, it's just on the side. The good thing is that if people are using it on their phones, they will also see this little tab saying live stream, and they can tap on it and watch it anytime. At the same time, in case you run your own website, you can always embed Slido. So just do it the other way around. So you can also do that if you want to have more of a fluid layout. I know that our team is working on some kind of enhancements, don't have any time frame on anything, cannot really say anything how it's going to end up. So I know that they are looking into it, but I don't know whether like it's happening soon or anything. So if you want to have fluid layout, I would recommend embedding Slido. And the question from Sandra here, can Slido be integrated on any video conferencing platform we like? I saw that there were some answers from us. So in case you want to read that, do that too. But Christina, why don't you answer?
I haven't read the answer, so I hope I give the same question, where actually there are two things to think about. So there is the compatibility of Slido and tools, and then there is the integration part of Slido. So yes, Slido is compatible with any video conferencing platform in the sense that you can actually use it just like we are using it today, and then share your Slido screen, so that it's absolutely fine to use with absolutely any video conferencing platform. That is the compatibility. When it comes to integration itself, the integration is so far up till today only available for so we are right now developing our Zoom integration, Zoom webinar integration. It is not actually public yet, but if you would like to give it a try, you can actually sign up to our demo call on our website, and you will the team will actually guide you through how it works, and then you can actually test it out yourself. So this is the Zoom webinar integration. And when it comes to other video conferencing platforms, I believe there is no other integration with the video conferencing
right now, but you can also check out our integrations page. So slido.com/live integrations. I think it's also in the comments. So I'm going to leave that question in case somebody wants to read the comments. And we got the last two questions. Can you use Slido as a chat tool? Oh, sorry, you want to ask. Go ahead.
It's absolutely fine. Can you use Slido as a chat tool during the meeting?
I was really thinking about this question. This is a great question. And yes, of course, you can use Slido as a chat tool, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. So I would recommend, Christina and I were hosting a conference just a few days ago. And we were also hosting it on a video conferencing platform, and the organizer wanted to use questions and chats in one box or whatever, and we actually decided to do chatting in the video conference room and then have Slido separately as a tool for questions. The reason why I'm saying this is that eventually when people start doing the same at the same time, it might just get lost, and you might get lost in terms of what are the questions that audience is having and what are the chats. So in case you want to use Slido as a chat tool, do it, but make sure that you have a place to post your questions and then place to chat. So as I said, in our Slido All Hands, we use chat on Zoom as a chat tool, and then we use Slido questions for Slido. And the last question here, what do you think is the most important thing to run a full remote meeting? What should we avoid? What a great question at the end.
This is a really great question, and it's so hard to really think of that one most important thing to run a successful remote meeting. Let me think. The most important one.
Can I jump in when we are
jump in, please?
This might sound very basic, but I think don't give up, because trust me, in Slido we have done many failures in terms of all hands. People were not able to listen here. Then the experience was horrible. We were having troubles with, I don't know, like everything you can think about, and really organizing live events and even online meetings is not easy. So I would recommend to really start doing it, and don't give up, and learn from your mistakes. I know that this is very basic, but we've all been there, and just don't give up, even if the first meeting is a failure.
And just to complete that beautiful sentence, what you should really avoid avoiding feedback. So please really ask for feedback, because without that you will never be able to improve your meeting, and without that you cannot step up your game. So really do not avoid feedback, ask for it anonymously, so people are honest with you and can really share with you what's on their mind. Right, thank you so much for all these questions. Before you leave, we would really love to find out how you felt about this webinar, what you've learned, and really, as we already said, you cannot learn and you cannot improve without feedback. So this is the feedback time that we now have for you. Please do spend your 1 or 2 minutes extra to fill it out for us. And I'm afraid we do have to end actually today. Thank you so much, guys, and have a lovely day.
Thanks a lot. Bye.